Hello, and thank you for visiting Premier Care Consulting My Day's educational PowerPoint presentation. Today, we are going to be talking specifically about advocacy and advocating for your loved one as well as their human rights. To start this PowerPoint off, I really like the quote here. As a parent of a child with special needs, you get the message to be a mama bear, to be fierce and not back down. And I think that encompasses really what advocacy is all about, especially when we're dealing with our loved ones who may not have the ability or know how to speak up for themselves when the time is right. So, being that you know your child so well, you understand what resources are needed in order for your child to be successful in all endeavors. Advocacy on the individual or systems level is acting with or on behalf of an individual or group to resolve an issue, obtain a needed support or service, or promote a change in the practices, policies, and or behaviors of any third parties or agencies that you may be working with. Advocacy is essential for promoting and protecting the civil and human rights of people with intellectual and or developmental disabilities and for establishing and maintaining or improving their quality of life. So, tips to being an effective advocate. First, you need to learn all you can about the given diagnosis. So, watch webinars, attend workshops, research specialists, track resources. In this case, information is power. So, the more you have, the more you're able to assist your loved one. Keep and organize all paperwork. So, when you're working for your loved one, you'll be giving several pieces of documentation, which I'm sure all of you are aware. It is best to keep as much relevant information as possible in an organized fashion. When you're applying for benefits and other helpful resources, having documentation accessible will help make that process a lot easier for you. For building relationships and asking questions, speak to any specialists or professionals that work with your loved one and encourage open lines of communication. This ensures that an entire team is on the same page. So when it comes to services that are being delivered to your loved one, you want to ensure that everyone knows what is happening and the type of service you want delivered for them. Know your own limitations. Advocating for a loved one with special needs can be demanding and challenging, so it's best you recognize what your own strengths and weaknesses are. It's best to focus on your weaknesses and find others to assist in those areas when needed. So an example of this is if you have limited time or you have some kind of time constraints, maybe you find a teammate, maybe it's a spouse, a family member, a friend, or another professional that can assist when you're not available. Stay calm and collected. Advocating for your child with special needs can be frustrating at times. Disagreements about services or how they're being delivered are bound to happen at some point during your child's life. It's important to remember that all members of your loved one's team are there to assist and support your loved one to the best of their abilities. Remember that you're part of a team. You should never feel pressured to make any immediate decisions concerning your child and the services that are being utilized. Take the time that is needed to discuss any questions or concerns that you have for your team in order to make the best and most informed decisions possible in order to ensure your loved one's success. Know your loved one's rights. Those who have been diagnosed with a disability have certain protections under the American with Disabilities Act, or ADA. It is crucial that you understand pertinent laws to your loved one's well-being and how these laws function in the state in which you reside. There's a link that I provided to the Department of Labor website that concern various disability resources. If you would like, I'm more than happy to email that link to you so that you can research that on your own. You should speak with your loved one about their rights. Touch base with them and assess how they feel about how their services are going. Follow up with the team about any concerns that have arisen. In speaking with your loved one, you can also teach him or her about the importance of their rights as a person and reinforce the importance of them advocating for themselves when you're not around. It can be helpful to encourage him or her to ask for assistance when needed and to ask for clarification if they do not understand something. Learn the lingo. Sometimes speaking with professionals in the field can be a bit challenging because you don't understand certain phrases or acronyms. Don't be afraid to ask for clarification to gain a better understanding of the meaning behind phrases so that you can better assist your loved one with his or her services. Communicate regularly. It's best to keep lines of communication open for members of your loved one's team. If something is not going well, address it. If something is going well, coordinate and look for other ways to turn success in one area into success in another. There's always going to be something to communicate about concerning your loved one and his or her progress. Allowing yourself and other professionals to coordinate openly can lead to strides to success for your loved ones. Don't be concerned about how others view you personally, and be seen. Don't let the fear of how others may perceive you keep you from demanding the services that are needed for your loved one. If you are outspoken about services and supports you want for your loved one, then professionals who work with you are going to remember you. Attend meetings and appointments, show you're invested in your loved one, and make sure that they receive the best supports possible. Be a problem solver. Sometimes solutions presented can be difficult to come up with. Don't be hesitant to be creative and to think outside the box when you want to try to come up with a solution that meets the needs for your loved one. Think about long-term goals. When addressing current concerns, always be thinking about how the future could be impacted. Having a realistic goal about how you would like your loved one to succeed and live in the future can assist in making decisions in the present day. Bring your backup. Ask for family members or friends to come with you to appointments, visits, and various meetings. While they don't necessarily have to participate, they could ask questions should they want to. This really shows that you have support and you have a village behind you. It can also serve as a subtle reminder that you are a force to be reckoned with. Promoting independence. If your loved one is working on various skills such as cooking or building independence in activities of daily living, allow him or her to do as much as they independently and safely can before you step in and safely teach and assist with the rest. In slowly addressing skill building, you can add a level of independence to your loved one's skill set. It's best to do this at a pace that allows for growth, but also keeps your loved one safe. If you are struggling with finding a way to break down tasks for your loved one, speak with other professionals in your team for feedback and ideas. Human rights. So while our loved ones may need certain accommodations, protections, and support that enable them to exercise their rights should never be limited or restricted without any kind of due process. Every human, whether they have a disability or not, has the same legal, civil, and human rights as anyone else. So for basic human rights, these are just a list or some of the basic ones that applies to everybody. So all individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the right to recognition as persons before the law and to enjoy legal capacity on an equal basis of individuals who don't have disabilities in all aspects of their life. The personal autonomy, liberty, freedom, and dignity of each individual with IDD must be respected and supported. Legally, each individual, adult or incapacitated minor, is presumed competent and to make decisions for him or herself, and each individual with IDD should receive the preparation, opportunities, and decision-making supports to develop as a decision maker over the course of his or her lifetime. People with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the right to justice and fair treatment in all areas of the criminal justice system and must be afforded supports and accommodations required to make justice a fair treatment a reality. The human and civil rights of all people with intellectual and developmental disabilities must be honored and protected, communicated and enforced, and thus be central to all advocacy on their behalf. All people with intellectual and developmental disabilities benefit when fully included in community life. People with intellectual and/or developmental disabilities must be free from abuse, neglect, or any kind of maltreatment. People with intellectual and developmental disabilities must have the right to be supported to act as self-advocates. Self-advocates exercise their rights as citizens by communicating for and representing themselves, with supports in doing so as necessary. This means they have a say in decision-making of all areas in their daily lives and in public policies, decisions that affect them. People with intellectual and developmental disabilities have the same right to and responsibilities at a company self-determination as anyone else. They are entitled to opportunities, respect, support, and the authority to exert control over their lives or to direct their services, and to also act on their own behalf. So, this next slide, I'd like you to reflect if you have any experiences where you've been advocating for a loved one's human rights that you would like to possibly share. I'm open to speaking with anybody individually if you've had a positive experience or a negative one that we could go back and address and maybe see if there's something that we can do to move forward to make it a better experience for you and your loved one. Well, thank you so much for viewing this presentation. Should you have questions or want a copy of the link to the Department of Labor website that was reviewed, feel free to send me an email. My name is Christina Partridge. I'm one of the Master of Social Work interns at Premier Care Consulting MyDay, and I can be reached at the email address listed, and that is mswpremier@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good day. Bye.